Connectivism a key area, although I'm still calling it a digital oriented theory of learning, connectivism. And right now, I am so much focused into smart theories of learning. However, yes, however, we start from digital before we go to smart because in my small research, and I'm sorry to use these statistics, you can
It's
correct
okay.
me. In my small research, a majority of the trainers today cannot use a smartphone. If they are using a smartphone, they are only using the basic aspects of a smartphone. But those,
The calling.
yes, those areas that can allow learning and development to take place, they don't know. Because you meet somebody and you tell them, have you ever used this? And they say, I even don't know. Then a majority of the trainers today cannot use a computer.
Unfortunately.
That is why the main exam bodies in Kenya, like Kenya National Exam Body, has said they want to test their trainees on internet through laptop, and trainers are like, no, 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 that's not right. Then I'm wondering, where are we headed to? Do we go back to Australopithecus, Kenyapithecus, and
That would
so?
be too much.
And then when you were introducing this, you talked about the 21st century.
Yes.
I have also seen some employers saying they want a teacher who has the 21st century teaching and learning methods. So
True.
connectivism explains this.
Uh-huh.
And then I was watching television on Sunday, that was Citizen TV, and they had a very good discussion. They were discussing about the Generation Z, the Z generation, and the main area of their concern was there is no connection between that generation with the previous generations, including the parents and the trainers. And when they were being asked between being allowed to go to an equipped field full of sporting materials and equipment versus Wi-Fi room, they picked on Wi-Fi room. If that is what these people are thinking about, who are you to bring the yellow pages in class in the name of you want to teach? Who are you teaching?
You will end up with no learners,
That is the
a
point.
bunch of bodies.
And I want to address my previous supervisors who insist on handwritten notes, handwritten schemes of work, handwritten records. Put these in mind. You are fighting the trainer for yourselves and not for the trainee. The
Uh,
trainee is not benefiting in any manner in that war. Because when you take two sets of notes to our learners in our classrooms today, one set, notes that have been typed and printed, another set, notes that have been handwritten, they would rather go for typed and printed.
yes.
That is what elicits their emotions.
Uh-huh.
Then who are you now to say stop the printed ones? In the name of, you are suspecting the teacher has not done their work.
Uh-huh.
And work here, I am quoting work because according to me, classroom work is to make knowledge, not give knowledge.
Not to deliver content.
Yes, but according to this supervisor, knowledge should be given. It is a one-way traffic from the trainer to the trainee,
The learner.
which is wrong. So in my
Yes,
argument, I am putting it this way, that constructivism is an age that is well informed with digital connectivism. It is kinda, you take all the other theories of learning but present them in a digital manner. So you use psychology, but presentation is in a digital manner. That is to mean the teacher still has their place, We are not
Yes.
replacing the teacher. Because however much this child knows how to use, my 2-year-old child knows how to use a smartphone, but I control what they do on that smartphone so that learning can take place.
Yes.
I tell them, yes, you know how to play this game, but today I've chosen you play this one. And you see, they will always run away from the one they don't know and want to play the one they know. And because I want them to achieve a certain concept using the one they don't know, I will persist and monitor. I will sit back, but I am watching that they do the right thing.
Yes.
So why can't we be teachers of that caliber? So in the 21st century, the theory of technology is more effective and essential because the generation we are talking about is a participating generation. In church, for example, they don't want to sit back and say, "Amen, pastor." They want to stand in front and dance and say amen in front of the church.
And that makes a lot of sense. It is a participating generation. They want to understand the process.
Yes.
Not just the results. They want to know, why did you say what you are saying, and for what end, or to what end are you telling us to do what is it that you want us to do? So they want to be involved.
Very much.
The moment you fail to involve them, then you lose them.
Yes.
And what you're saying is that now with the digital assistance, that is in form of the technology, whatever gadgets we have, that should help us get more connected, more involved in the process of teaching and learning, so that the students can even own up the process.
That is it.
Connectivism. That makes a lot of sense.
Now, how do we apply how do we apply connectivism in a learning environment? We can bring more educational technology in the classroom. You remember what we were taught in the University of Nairobi? We had our education technology unit.
Yes.
And we were taught about so many ways of presentation of data using technology, from the written, the verbal, non-verbal, And now today we have the e-learning. You see, even the president has said the money we used to pay to the chief so that we get the IDs, we pay them through 222. Even people on the market want to get their payments through M-Pesa. Who are you in class to continue delivering information using sticks? And you see, sticks are not bad. But if they are modified, for example, what I did last week, I told them, let us use culture to communicate. Sticks are more cultural. So you tell them to become creative and use sticks to communicate their point. These guys are good and they will communicate that point using sticks. But you don't use the same scenario or the same way of thinking that we thought in the 20 years ago to train them today, because, of course, they were not born then. Whereas phones and technology found us, these guys were born with technology. In fact, some of them are products of technology.
They are products of the same, yes.
You cannot separate them from technology.
It belongs to them.
So bring as much in the classroom as possible. And I can give an example. I used to teach with simulations when I was in Taita Taveta in a school called Buguta. I would teach, and that mathematical question, instead of telling them to add this and do this, in business equations to do a balance sheet, I would do a simulation on computer, whereby I would tell them you can only add a certain item to a certain point. So when the student picks using their mouse, they add on the right hand side, they add on the left hand side. If it's wrong, it rejects. And they continue adding until when it balances. They make a balance sheet. Through that, they have learned how to make a balance sheet by putting the correct inputs where they are supposed to be put. Then the student will never forget that in a balance sheet, we have the assets on the left hand side and the capital and liabilities on the right hand side. So there is no need of beating them. Why have you not remembered? Why have you not? There is an easier way of doing it. And you see, at games time, they would all flock into the computer room just to play that game. And in the event,
Oh,
they are learning.
they're
Then
learning.
number
That's
two, we can apply it through teaching students how and where to find quality information. And this one, I want to be very categorical here, because the children we are teaching today are exposed to a lot of information. So if we allow them to do research and do not control the research, they will end up getting wrong information. So we must control the research. When I sent my students to go to do research, I have developed a form. I call it a research form. In the form, I have given a place where they indicate their data. I do an introduction to the main objectives that I want them to achieve. I give their objectives that I want them to achieve. I give them the activities, specific activities I want them to partake. Then I leave space for them to write findings, recommendations, and conclusions. So they will only write findings, they write recommendations, they write conclusions. So I normally give them that form. I tell them, go to the field, now go do research. Then I time the research. If it is 1 hour, everybody will rush to achieve what I have sent them within 1 hour. So that one blocks them from entering into unnecessary sites, into chatting, into doing online calls and so on. They are online, but with a specific purpose. They do what I've sent them to do. So in connectivism, one of the challenges that could be there is when we
yes.
allow the students to expose themselves to a research that is not guided. It must be guided, and that is why I'm saying the role of a trainer still remains. So maybe you can talk about that before I talk about the last one.
Yes, actually, the issue that I wanted to bring in was on challenge.
Yes.
Um, it's the area of technology is quite a thorny one with very many people, and especially the older generation of traders and teachers.
Yes.
And I was just thinking around what challenges we are likely to encounter as we try to bring ourselves into terms with this theory.
Mm-hmm.
One of them that came to my mind is um, the cost of technology itself. And if you are probably in our public high schools, you're likely not to be well equipped
Sure,
in
sure.
terms of personally as a teacher. You probably are having gaps on your teacher training with regards to technology, as well as you may have the training, but there are um, the specific
Facilities.
no facilities that assist you to bring that kind of learning environment to
Sure.
our learners.
Mhm.
So maybe, do you have any other thought around any other bigger challenge, and what do you suggest that um, we can do as a country or as people within the teaching practice to alleviate some of those challenges?
I was talking to my principal, who happens to be the owner of the institution I'm working for today, and I was
Mhm.
telling them that from next semester, we want to start encouraging our students to buy laptops instead of books.
Uh,
And we want this thing to be rolled out maybe from tertiary learning institution down to high school and maybe later on to primary schools. It's becoming so essential that if we rely on the government to bring laptops and computers, we will not meet the objective.
yes.
And instead of where we put so much interest in the learners buying books, why can't we train these learners how to use these laptops as early as in primary school? By
In
the
fact,
Yes,
now that you've mentioned that, I remember one of the schools that I taught.
yes,
Um, Once the student joined, they were given and assigned a laptop, and we would use those laptops in class. And there is nothing that made learning as good as those gadgets while they were in class. Because in the middle of the learning, you tell the students, now we get into our next task. And what I want us to do is to open our laptops. And in your laptops, open your emails. I have sent this quiz. I want you to look at the quiz, but before you answer the quiz, I want you to research on this particular PDF. Search for it, read through it, and then come back to the quiz, fill up the quiz, send me your answers to my email, and I'll see them. And it becomes, oh, you have touched their hearts.
That is it. Even just opening the laptop itself, it's fun.
Yes. Yes.
Now look at a scenario like the way we were handling learning when we were in university. And sometimes a lecturer would come and give an explanation. I remember in mathematics, I respect Dr. Wafula. He used
Wafula, yes.
to teach, explain aspects. And one day I carried my hand and said, Daktari, I have not understood. And he said, don't worry, you will just understand. And then he left.
I kind of remember that statement.
Now, look at this.
He said, just write.
Just write. You will just continue writing, you will just remember. Now, put it in this scenario. You see this, what we are doing and what you saw on YouTube. Imagine if I was a teacher and go to class and do my class and tell students now the remaining part. Or if you want more information about this this content, open your laptops, go to YouTube, search for this information, listen to what I have explained. Don't you think it would be more interesting and just cool for the trainer to sit back and see learners getting information when you are seated? And maybe make a comparison, like now, the discussion we are having right now, and send learners on YouTube to just see the discussion we are having. You see, in this discussion, it's so rich to the extent that if I'm forgetting something or I'm leaving something out, you are able to just bring it up and we just bring the whole body of knowledge together. Imagine if somebody was getting this information. That is the best part of learning.
I agree with you. I agree with you because we are in a current age where we are saying that we are not preparing lessons for the average learner.
Sure.
In fact, there's a whole research that says the average learner does not exist. If you do prepare lessons for the average, hoping that the average is a representative of the bigger population, then you have not prepared a lesson for anyone.
Sure.
Because all lessons should be differentiated based on students' interest, cognitive side abilities, etc. So now we are being encouraged to think through a concept of learner variability. Learners vary, and therefore, when you're preparing, then you must prepare for the various groups of learners we have within a class of 40 or so.
Sure.
So one way to make sure that all the students, in one way or the other, they are with you is to use varied media. That is, using videos on this side. 2 seconds, you have come in with a different explanation in person. Later on, they are doing a PDF, they're doing a case study here. So you have all these media and audio here put together, and therefore, depending on the various learning styles of the various students, then you are able to put everybody on board.
Sure.
I love that idea of not just going to class, but using technology in a very wise way that you can even pre-record the videos. And guess what? When the videos are playing, you're able to see some of the gaps you yourself
can
clarify.
Yes. So the last group of theories that I would wish to talk about, and I would wish that I will ask for your attention next time, so that we talk about digital learning theories. But today we stop at supplemental learning theories.
Yes, I will allow you to touch on supplemental learning theories, so that we can have an idea of what it's about. And maybe that we don't take too much of your time. We can have another conversation where you can, delve deeper into those and the digital learning theories. So the supplemental are just additional learning theories that people have not thought so much about them, because like in Kenya,
people never thought about adults learning until 2016, when Dr. Matiang'i came and did an overhaul of learning and said if somebody is above 18, they should have their own classes and do their own exams. So yes, there was that exam for adults, but it was not well coordinated. So right now there is even a syllabus that assists adults to learn. However, a syllabus is one thing, but methods of teaching is another thing. Now, when we talk about methods of teaching, there are two main methods of teaching. One, pedagogy, which we have gone through. Pedagogy. Pedagogy is the study of educating young adults, young people. I know we were told teaching methods, which is okay, but it is meant for young adults. But there is this that is meant for adults, for mature people, for people who must have been in school a long time ago, but they never got a chance, but now they are in school. And maybe, for example, those who are working, a working group and are being trained, this is called andragogy. Andragogy. Andragogy.
Thank you for reminding me, because when you mentioned it, I thought that was that definition.
Your voice has really gone.